Hello everyone, welcome to another video with SimusStamp.com. My name is Kristina Werner. Today I'm going to be playing with the stamp set that is included in the December 2023 card kit. The stamp set is called Making Spirits Bright, and the rest of the kit is very kind of vintage, very distressed looking. So for the cards in today's video, I'm going to be creating a very clean and bright card by doing some multicolor stamping. So multicolor stamping can be a little bit time consuming if you're only creating one card, but it's also a technique that really lends itself to creating duplicates when you're using a stamping platform like the MISTI stamp positioning tool. So I'm going to be creating 3 of the same card today, and I'll be showing you the multicolor stamping technique, and it goes really, really well with all of the stamps in this stamp set. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm positioning the greeting and a bunch of the snowflakes on my card front. I'm stamping directly onto my folded card base. I've picked out 4 different colors of Simus stamp ink today. This first color is Carnation, and I'm going to just put some white cardstock underneath the door of my MISTI so you can see where I'm positioning the colors of ink. It also helps me as well as I'm working. So I've added a little bit of that pink ink to just different areas of this grouping of stamps, and I'm pressing that down onto my card front. Now, some of the lighter colors of Simon ink can really benefit from being stamped a couple of times. So for Carnation, and also when I stamp the pale blue color in a minute here, I'm actually stamping those twice to just get a really strong impression. These colors can be very, very pale if you don't stamp them a couple of times. So after I've stamped one card, I'm going to go on to the other 2 cards. Because my stamps are already in my MISTI and I'm putting that ink in the exact same spot, it's really easy to just kind of replace the card base with a new one and continue stamping. So after I finish all of my pink inking, I'm moving on to the color Cherry. I'm going to add this just to some smaller areas around my grouping of stamps. And if you have any areas, especially on words or a greeting like I do here, make sure to pay special attention to get ink over all areas of that image. Like at the end of the word bright, I had a little gap in my inking, so I made sure to re-ink up that stamp with that same color of ink so that I could do that a little bit more clearly. So I've moved on to the other 2 cards, and this is the same fashion I'm going to be using for stamping the multiples as I go on with my card. After I finish one card, I'm going to keep those stamps in the same position in my MISTI and move on to the other 2. So now I'm going to clean up my stamps. Going from pink to red, I didn't bother cleaning the ink off my stamps because a little bit of pale pink ink isn't going to be an issue. But I knew coming in with this SEAFOAM color that it would be an issue. I didn't want any of that red ink to transfer to my blue ink pad. So I cleaned off my stamp and then I continued on with my stamping. Like I mentioned before, for the paler colors of ink like SEAFOAM, I did ink up the stamps twice just so I could get a really good impression with that color of ink and it would have a little more saturation. Now, I did want to say one little thing before I move on to the final color, which is actually a green color. It's Perfection. If you do have some ink that is transferred to a different ink pad, let's say I got some of that red ink on my pale blue ink pad, it's not a huge issue. You can clean your ink pad in a sort of way. What you do is just kind of wipe that contaminated ink pad over some cardstock. It could be, any cardstock. You're going to be throwing it away. You're using it just to clean the ink pad. Just gently wipe it across that cardstock and you'll see that additional color come right off that ink pad and you haven't wasted too much ink. You may have to do that a couple of times to get rid of the red in this example, but it's a great way to clean up those ink pads. All right, so moving on, I'm using those same stamp images to continue stamping more of my card. Just kind of nestling those stamps around my greeting. And, you know, I think snowflake images in particular are great for stamping like this because it has those different points, 6 points on each snowflake, and it really lends itself to kind of hug and nestle around each other so you can get some really great positioning. So I'm going in the same order I did before, pink to red to blue to green. And then I'm moving on to this last edge of my card front. And I keep rotating my card in my MISTI so that I can stamp off the edge of each one. So I'm going to, this time I'm starting with green because I realized that my card was looking very red heavy, and I wanted to make sure I had more instances of the green and blue. So I decided for this third round of stamping that I would start with the green and the blue and then move on and add little tiny bits of red or pink where needed, just to make sure that I had a really balanced kind of color palette across this entire card front. So I've stamped my green, I'm stamping my blue, and then for a final color on this, I'm actually going to bring in just a few little pops of red. Like I said, I didn't want the red to be overwhelm the bottom of the card, kind of how it might if I let it. So when I went in with this red, I brought in just like very tiny little instances of red. Just a little bit on the edge of a snowflake and a little bit on the snowflake below that, just to have little pops of red here and there. And then to finish the card, I brought in 2 of the star stamps and a little snowflake and stamped those in only pink. I didn't have very many spots of pink on this card that weren't swallowed up by that red, so I decided to just add the pink as the little filler pieces all around. So there I'm done with all of my stamping. All 3 cards look pretty much the same because the colors are in the same spots. To add a little more dimension to the edges of the card, I'm coming in with that carnation pink, and where the red and pink areas kind of bleed off the edge, I'm going to blend in a little bit of this pink. So mainly just the bottom left and top right corners, because those are where I've got the most pink and red coming off the edge. And then I'm coming in with that SEAFOAM color, the pale blue. I'm switching blending brushes to a blue blending brush, and I'm going to blend all the other areas kind of going around my card. This makes it so the colors don't overlap and get weird color combinations too much, because the blended color on the edge is similar to the color of the stamped snowflakes right on that edge. All right, so I made all 3 cards in under an hour. I think that's really great for such stamp heavy cards, especially with so many colors. So once again, this is the Making Spirits Bright stamp set from the December 2023 card kit. If you want to pick up the card kit, I've got links down below in the video description or at the blog post, as well as you can subscribe to receive this kit and future kits. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in another video very soon.
I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.